Republican senators are standing by their letter to Iran's leaders. 47 GOP senators taking heat for writing directly to Iran during ongoing nuclear talks.
My reaction to the letter was utter disbelief.
He told the Congress basically to go to hell. I wanted him, the Iranians, and the world to know you cannot deal us out.
You have no regrets about the methodology about going directly to the Iranian leadership?
No regrets at all. The administration is really scared of talking about the substance of this deal.
Why do you have to become pen pals, essentially, with the Iranian leadership?
We wanted to make crystal clear they heard that.
And Senator Lindsey Graham joins us. Nice to see you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, it's no secret. I think this is a treaty. I don't think the president's aimed business going alone, that he should get two-thirds of the Senate. It's consistent with what he did with the New START treaty with Russia. But I also, and I've hit your colleague, Senator Cotton, and Senator John McCain over the head with it. I don't think you guys should have written that letter and run the president, that you could have dealt with it without doing that. You say what?
The only time, well, I signed on the letter after the president threatened to veto legislation requiring us to vote on whether or not to lift the sanctions. This is a very big deal. When the president told the Senate and the House, I will veto any effort on your part to look at this deal and have a vote as to whether or not we waive the sanctions we created, then that became an imperial presidency. So I want to let the Iranians know, no matter what President Obama and John Kerry may tell you, under our law, the president cannot negotiate away on his own congressional sanctions created by the Congress unless we have a chance to vote on it. That is just taking our system and turning it upside down.
I don't disagree with it. I don't think the president has the authority. But the problem is that you could have achieved it by putting a letter in a newspaper, for instance, or making a statement from the floor. Now you've got Ayatollah Khamenei saying signs of disintegration in Washington, mostly a propaganda play. But you've brought them into sort of our dirty laundry, sort of, in a sense that it doesn't show sort of strength in numbers. Right. Now we look weaker than we might have looked.
I don't really agree with that, with all due respect. I think it was important for the Ayatollah, who is a religious zealot with innocent blood on his hands. I have no respect for him or his regime. They're destabilizing the whole region. They've killed Americans. They're trying to build a bomb, not a nuclear power plant. They lie. So at the end of the day, I want the Ayatollah to understand that our president doesn't have the ability on his own to waive congressional sanctions without our input, and he is claiming he has that right. This is a constitutional crisis in the making. No Senate or House should ever let any president do away with congressional sanctions created by the bodies without their approval.
All right. I actually agree that he doesn't have the authority to do this. So we're on the same page on that. Okay. But suppose the president does this. Suppose the president does go alone. What are you going to do about it?
Let's say that they go to the United Nations and get a Security Council resolution relieving all sanctions. What if the United Nations in that resolution tried to relieve congressional sanctions? I'd cut off all the money of the United Nations. If this president or any other president tried to unilaterally displace sanctions created by the Congress, these sanctions passed 100-0 over his objection. They were created by the United States Congress, and he is telling the Ayatollahs in the world that he can unilaterally set them aside. That is not right. If he did that, we would have a constitutional crisis. All this hand-wringing over the letter misses the greater point. If we had not responded, I think we'd have made a huge mistake. We'd set in motion misperceptions that could have led to a bad outcome.
All right, if the president does veto any sanctions legislation,
right,
do you have the votes? Because not all Democrats are,
yes,
I mean, you can override it.
Yes, we will. Let me tell you why. We got 66 now. We got all Republicans and we got 12 Democrats. I can't imagine a member of the United States Senate saying that I don't want to look at a deal that relieves congressional sanctions. I don't want to vote on it myself. How do you explain that to your constituents?
Secretary Kerry was running around to a bunch of countries recently telling me about the deal. So he goes to see the foreign minister of all these countries who no doubt they tell their wives or their aides or their assistants. Right. Everybody knows about the deals, but, I'd sort of like to know about the deal. I mean, why do people who hate us, fundamentally hate us, and they're fighting us, some of these, not all of them, why do they get to know about it? I don't.
Can I repeat this for maybe the 500th time? Secretary Kerry and President Obama is trying to negotiate relief on congressional sanctions and deal Congress out of the process. Not only are they informing everybody in the world of the deal but us, they're telling us that we can't have input as to whether or not we want to relieve sanctions they created. Barack Obama and his foreign policy team are very incompetent, so I want to look at the deal. And when the president said this letter emboldened the hardliners, He has come to conclude there must be a moderate element running Iran. For anybody to conclude that moderates are in charge at any level in Iran is completely delusional.
Senator, nice to see you, sir.
Thank you.